Hallo Klickenabendler, wir sind jetzt beim Brettspielautor Jacob. Hi Jacob.
Hi, pleasure to meet you.
You invented the game Fog of Love.
Yes, I did. So, yeah, and Fog of Love, it's a romantic comedy game for 2 players. It's a very different game than anything out there. And the idea was to actually create a game for my wife to play because she does not like any of these games out there, or very few of these. And I wanted to play more with her. My day job is to be an inventor or product development and innovation. So I actually work with developing new stuff. So I thought, okay, why not use my methodology and do stuff for my wife and with a game.
What did you invent before?
So I've been working with a big pharma company, the largest company if you look at the stock market price in Northern Europe. It's called Novo Nordisk, and I worked with their innovation methodology. So how they invent stuff, I developed that, and then I helped them develop individual projects. Everything I did is super secret. I signed very, very heavy non-disclosure clauses. So
And you still do that kind of stuff?
No, not anymore. So I wanted to. So I was consulting for many years. I've been consulting with them for full time for 10 years. So I've done that. But I would more like to do my own projects and develop my own products. So now I'm there where I can actually make a living from my own stuff, and I prefer that.
I see. So Fog of Love was, how long did it take to create it?
3 years.
3 years?
3 years I worked on this before it came to the market.
And it came to the market 2 years ago?
Yes, 2 years. So Essen, 2 years ago, we were like, we had to, that was our premiere with the final version. It didn't arrive because there was a big storm in Germany 2 years ago. So our stock was stuck on the train for 3 weeks outside Hamburg. But we had some final versions of that we get a flight from China to here, so we could play them. So yeah, so it was the final version was final ready 2 years ago.
The game now is available also in German, I guess,
Yes.
in English.
And in Danish.
And in Danish.
So the English version came 2 years ago. Last year we wanted we had a lot of offers for translations. Then we wanted to test how is it to translate, because there's a lot of text and a lot of effort into this. And it's easier for us than to manage the Danish translation because we are from Denmark. So we didn't do the translation because we still wanted to have X amount of people do it, but then we could at least test how it works. And we did the Danish version together with Asmodee to publish it in Denmark, and it was a super big success. So it was one of the biggest launches in Denmark of a game last year. So that was good. And then we worked on getting a really good German publisher, so we can do an interesting launch here, because we have been approached by many people. Because we have been in Essen now so much, so each year people come to us and ask, okay, when is the German version coming? When is the German version coming? So now we finally are here. That's super great.
You did it with Pegasus Spiele, I guess?
Yes, Pegasus. So we are with Pegasus, and it's a very good partner. We want to have a good big partner that can help us go broad.
And at the moment there's a base version here. You have got 3 expansions, which
Yes.
you showed last year.
Yes.
What are the expansions changing?
So the expansions, they add new types of stories to the game. So
Of course.
yeah, so the base game already comes with 4 stories, but they all are like variations of like regular relationships. The new ones, they add different like aspects. So one of them is about your in-laws. So here you add your in-laws as part of the story, and a lot of new scenes that affect the characters, and it's a completely different dynamic, because here we also change the destinies that are part of the game. That drive your winning structure, you could say. So we have completely new destinies, and then they give you like new relationship dynamics, where you try to keep your parents at bay, or you give up and then just invite them in, and then they decide everything in your relationship. So it's a different way of playing, and it's very fun because people know fun stories about in-laws, and that's part of this. Then we have one that is we call it "It Will Never Last," and that's more about having extra difficulty in the relation. Again, new destinies that make it more complex and more challenging, and that's for advanced players. And the last one is paranormal romance, And paranormal romance I won't spoil because that's actually a legacy. Okay, so here you play over multiple games something that changes. I cannot tell you what because that's a secret, but you will figure out when you play. And I think that has been. I had an idea about what I wanted, and I worked. It took me half a year to figure out how to do this. I found a very simple approach to do something that creates a fantastic experience. So that's probably the expansion I'm most proud of as a game designer because I can do some stuff that I haven't seen before.
Will this expansion also be available in Danish and German?
So I think already now we are making the second print run for Denmark, and I think as it looks like it will also sell out, and then we make a third print run, and with the third print run we will also make the expansions. So that's for Denmark, and in Germany we just have the first print run, and I think it will sell as fast as in Denmark, and it's a much bigger market. So I think actually, yes, I expect the expansions to be here in probably next year, but we need to see. Of course, that's every market is different, so we are not promising anything, but based on what we already see of the interest, and we see very, very, very big interest. I'm not allowed to say we are going, but I think we can.
You can play the game in my opinion, in two modes. You can play it normally, like a normal game.
Yes.
Or you can play it and you do a little bit of role playing.
Yes.
Where you speak about the scenes.
Yes.
And speak in the character and stuff like that. I like that a lot. But I hear it also from people. They are a little bit afraid to testing it out because it can be that you get relationships problems after the game.
Yeah.
I said I don't do that because I'm a role player. I never had any issues to play something, and in private I'm not that kind of guy. Did you hear something about it, or do you understand that kind of issues?
This question is the number one question by far.
All right.
Of everyone who plays this the first time. Actually, without exception, there's nobody who has played this who has not asked this. So that is actually quite interesting. That people have an expectation that when they play a game about love, it will be difficult. And that's everybody asks us this, and it's super strange because afterwards, also for my play tests, half of my play tests, and we tested it 1,000 times. Half of my play tests was with couples, and the rest was just with friends or strangers. And the couples asked this, and then afterwards, if I ran the tests, I then asked the couples, okay,
how was it?
How was it? Was it dangerous? And then they always look at me and ask me, why do you ask me that? And that's because you asked me this before we start. Did I? I cannot understand why I asked this because of course it's not dangerous. And then they are wondering why I asked them this. So I have in total of course I've got a lot of feedback from players playing this. I've seen some impact on relationships with it, but that has been positive. So last year, for example, a couple came to me when I was at the Shut Up and Sit Downs fair in a convention in Vancouver.
All right.
A couple came to me with a baby stroller and said, "This little fella here, that's because of you. Because we were together, but we were actually splitting up. But then we played your game and figured out what love means for us. So we stayed together, and now we have this kid." That was
very cool.
But I've also seen here this year was at Gen Con in the US, the big convention like Spiel, but in Indianapolis. A woman came to me when I was out drinking on a bar. She came and gave me a big hug. I was like, okay, what's happening? She said, thank you. I played your game with my boyfriend, and we split up because I figured out that I'm a lesbian. And I could finally realize what was important for me. So she realized this, and they also realized that their relationship, of course, didn't work. And initially he was not happy about it, but now he is happy because it wouldn't work for him either. So yes, I have heard that it can have some impact on
but only positive as now.
But positive, and I have never ever heard. Seriously, I have never heard a single one who has had negative things. But that's the same. If you watch a romantic comedy together,
Sure.
will it ruin your relationship? That's
right.
Nobody asks that, right?
Yeah, right.
But people have an expectation that a game might do this. But that's also because it's such a different game, so they don't know what to expect from this.
All right. So do we have a role-playing background?
Yes, very much. So I've worked very much and played a lot of role-playing games, and I've always worked with like innovative role-playing games. So I'm from a community in Denmark that probably I would say this is the most innovative community for role-playing game design in the world. There's a convention called Festival in Denmark that comes each year, and a lot of the most innovative designers, also from the US, they come to Denmark now each year to play the innovative stories that are made here. And these stories can be about real life, about deep emotions and new ways of telling stories. And I come from this tradition, so I'm very much grounded in how to tell stories, and that's what interests me.
Perhaps you should try Star-Crossed Love.
Yeah, so
did you hear about it?
Yeah, I have it already. So yes, it's super interesting. Yes.
All right. Do you have an idea for your next games, perhaps, or will you produce more games?
Yes, I will. So I love doing this, and now it's great to be able to be economically independent and be able to do this. So I think it's a fantastic privilege to have, and I want to do new stuff, and I still want to do innovative stuff. That's the core of who I am, to do innovative work. So the next one, I'm actually continuing on the formula of Fog of Love, but doing something that is super simple, that is available for the broad audience. Already Fog of Love is in the broad mass market, but this one will be even broader and much simpler to play. So that's something I want to do, to really test how simple can we do a storytelling game that has a depth, that can tell a story about romantic relationship, but really also be available for normal people who never play games. So that's what I'm doing there. And it will be a 2 to 6 player game. So it's still 2 characters, but then each character will be played by multiple players. So focused on the internal dynamics, internal conflict of the characters. So that's also part of what interests me. Normal games are focused on the external conflict, so fighting or against each other, or fighting against the environment. What I'm interested in is the inner struggles of people and how they all understand and perceive the world and understand themselves and each other. So this new game will focus even more on this and be even stronger on the internal dynamics side. And based on this, I'm inventing a new narrative system. And this system I can see be applied to a lot of different stories that are really deep and can tell stories that again no game has done before. And I won't tell you yet what I'm working on here, but I have an original idea that is also as deep and groundbreaking as Fog of Love was before.
Cool. I'm looking so forward to see it.
Yes, thank you.
So thanks for your time here at the fair.
Thank you so much.
Wish you good luck with your games.
Thanks.
And hope to see the expansion in Germany as well.
Yes, we hope so as well. Thank you.
And see you next year in Essen, I guess.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Thank you for the welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.